You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. Welcome to The Drive here on a Wednesday. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you for the next 2 hours on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. And Matt, right out of the gate here, kind of to the news of the day, if you will, pretty significant development for the New York Jets and their offensive line. Guard Elijah Vera Tucker suffered, the Jets fear that he suffered a season-ending torn tricep and is getting a second opinion to confirm the injury to see if surgery is necessary. He went down with that same season-ending injury back in 2022. It was on the opposite arm, however.
Oh, I didn't realize that was the same injury. Okay.
But regardless, not great timing, not a great kind of start of this campaign for the Jets.
No. So that's probably the biggest NFL news of the day across the league, let alone Steeler-related, and it's super Steeler-related, of course. I feel for the guy because he's had, assuming this is a major injury and it's what it's reported to be, which if just watching Schefter's timeline, it doesn't sound promising for Vera Tucker. This is bad for them. This is really bad for them because one of the strengths, even just big picture, you know how I am, I team build, and I respect the heck out of the Jets going back-to-back offensive tackles. That's Steelers did it the year before. The Saints did it this past 2 years.
Build your nest,
it's a great way to start from the bottom up. But he was one of the guys that were actually in place before this regime took over. Still young, should be entering his prime. Also a former first-round pick. Tackle at USC, goes into guard, and has been the 8th to 10th best guard when he's out there. I mean, he's a really good player. And you got these two tackles. You got him. You got Tippmann at center. It's like we got 4/5 of a lot like the Steelers. The left guard, see them all.
It might not be great right now, but we hope it develops into being
absolutely.
Yeah.
You think you have 4 high draft picks here that's 80% of my starting line, much like the Steelers. You know, it's McCormick and Frazier and the two tackles. And it's hard to count on him, period, because he's had 3 major injuries like this. You mentioned the tricep, and he's the right guard. So he won't get much of Cam, assuming Cam Hayward plays. I'm going to operate under that assumption until further notice.
Until 1 o'clock on Sunday?
Yeah. So I always look at left guard versus right guard versus Steelers because the Steelers, less than any team in the league, move their defensive linemen around. Left guard gets Cam, right guard gets whoever else, But still, I mean, that should be one of your strengths. If we're on the Jets audio network, what are some individual matchups you like in our favor? I like Vera Tucker versus someone other than Harmon, whoever that's going to be, a young guy or whatever. Well, that's probably flushed. And as much as they're going to run the ball this year, he's probably their best run blocker. I mean, it's a big deal to a season that's kind of teetering on the brink to begin with,
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it is absolutely the last thing that they were hoping for. Happened at Tuesday's practice, according to Adam Schefter. And I think you're absolutely right. The mantra for the Jets this year was going to be to run the football, control the clock, keep your defense off the field. You've invested in that offensive line. You've got Justin Fields. Start there. And Fields does that well. Kind of figure everything else out as you go along. They've got a pair of talented running backs there in New York as well, too. But
they don't have much in the way of pass catchers.
They don't have. Right. I mean, we like Garrett Wilson, but other than that, it's a very thin and unproven wide receiver room. Yeah, I mean, this is almost like a worst-case scenario type start to the season for them because the one thing that you thought, okay, we can start here, we can build here.
Step one.
Step one, and that rug's now been pulling out from underneath your feet. And he's like, I know he's not a Isaac Seumalo type seasoned veteran, but he's still one of the more experienced, more veteran-laden guys on that offensive line as well, too.
I was going to say, he's at least been around the block and has had success in this league. And a really young O-line, a 4th or 5th year dude, whatever year he's in, is an experienced guy. Simpson, the other guard's been around, and he's a good player, too. But all the other dudes don't have many snaps under their belt. I mean, your center and both tackles are the most crucial positions.
And it's that same kind of have talked a lot about, Broderick Jones having a guy like Isaac Seumalo next to him, and now they're losing that guy next to their young tackles with a new quarterback, new offensive line, new coaching staff.
First-round right tackle making his first career start against T.J. Watt. It'd be nice to have your right guard that you know and trust to your left. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. It's hard to kind of like doomsday scenario week 1, but about as close as you could get for the Jets.
Yeah.
And for a non-quarterback injury as well, too. So
I think we mentioned you and I either mentioned this last week or the week before, that Dale and I every year would do our most important Steelers. Like who can you most or least afford to lose?
You try and frame it in a way of like let's call them most important. Not least we can't afford to lose.
Like, boy, I really don't want that guy getting hurt. Like Metcalf might not be better than Ramsey, but he's more important considering both rooms they're in. You know what I'm saying? Vera Tucker's pretty high on the Jets list. I mean, Garrett Wilson would be super high because they got nothing else there. Like Breece Hall's a really good player, but if they lost him, they'd still run the ball and they'd get those dudes going. Quinn Williams is really important. Sauce is really important. But Vera Tucker's definitely in the top 5.
Yep.
Big.
It's huge. It's a massive loss for the Jets heading into, of course, their opener against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which brings the local interest here to that even to a higher point. But yeah, it does not sound good for Elijah Vera Tucker. And even like if they get good news that it's not as serious as they thought, obviously,
I can't believe he's playing this week.
I cannot imagine a scenario where he plays on Sunday. Which again, last thing you want if you are the Jets, Jets.
If we're just looking to your point, if we're just going to look at it from a selfish Steelers lens, well, I think there's a pretty good chance he's not playing Sunday.
Yes,
I think we know that much.
Absolutely right. And for like you said, for some of those young defensive linemen for the Steelers who are going to get their first crack at this thing or a expanded role.
Yeah.
In the absence of Harmon and maybe likely a reduced role for Cam Hayward. A little bit of an easier sledding to begin there, certainly on the interior of that Jets offensive line.
And I know we'll talk a lot of individual matchups and scheme stuff, of course, leading up to the game. But one of my biggest concerns, or one of my Jets' path to victories, would been they just keep running and running, and your D-line,
150 rush yards, 170 rush yards.
And Cam's huffing and puffing, and Benton's upper body's an issue or whatever, and Harmon's out, and you have lesser players out there, and it's early in the season, and no one's played snaps, and late in game, that 4-yard runs are turned into 6-yard runs. It's like, we could lose this one, and now it's less.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That kind of path to seeing a Jets victory feels like it just narrowed.
Yeah,
the ways that the Jets could win this game, they just kind of took a big piece off the board.
Sure.
In terms of, rushing for, like we said, $150 and 33, 34 minutes of possession, something like that.
And I also think there's a human element of it. Like in my other podcast, we were just previewing the Thursday night game. Well, what do you think Dallas's locker room looks like right now with Parsons just walking out the door?
They're probably getting on a plane on a runway somewhere in Dallas or Fort Worth or Arlington right now. And they're
hanging their head and going,
Micah's not on the flight.
Yeah, we could really use that guy
against
the Super Bowl champs.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a different circumstance. The team didn't betray you and trade your best guy type of thing. But, oh, man.
It's like we're starting shorthanded right out of the gate here.
That's a problem.
The other news of the day that I wanted to run past you, Matt, as we get started here on this edition of The Drive, more of a larger NFL issue, something that I think we have hinted upon and discussed this offseason. The idea that the NFL going to an 18-game regular season schedule with 2 preseason games felt inevitable. Well, not according to the interim director, of the NFLPA. David White is his name. Now, he is the interim director, important to note, but still interim director of the NFLPA. He told the Associated Press today that they have not had any conversations with the NFL about expanding the length of the regular season. David White said that he had a productive meeting with Roger Goodell, called it a very good start to our relationship, and that they have an open and respectful line of communication, but that specific issue has not been brought to the table yet. We haven't talked about it yet, and it certainly is not inevitable and should not be presented as such. That's the exact kind of quote there that stands out. We haven't talked about it yet, and it certainly is not inevitable and should not be presented as such, and he also referenced the current CBA, which doesn't expire until 2031.
Right.
I don't know how much of that is just director speak, bargaining, negotiations.
Right, yeah.
I think I
believe that they haven't had the conversation officially.
They haven't
I'll
sat
buy that
down at a
much.
table
and actually hash this thing out exactly how it would work and what you're getting, and I'm getting. But that doesn't change my tune one bit. It's the first I ever heard that. It doesn't change my tune one bit that it's coming. I mean, I believe that wholeheartedly, and I can even lay out how I think it's going to go. But to me, who benefits the most from an 18-game schedule? The owners.
The owners.
I mean, the owners are going to benefit the most no matter what happens. If more revenue comes in, the owners benefit more than the players.
You
That's
get
just how
that
it goes.
9th home game every season.
Right. That's a lot of beers. That's a lot of parking. That's a
couple extra $1 million guaranteed
Yeah,
every year.
Yeah, probably way more. I don't even know. But I'm sure he's a player's guy. You're going, well, we didn't give him that yet. We're going to want 45% more of the bump in revenue, and ownership will say, well, how about we give you 35? And, I mean, it's still negotiating stuff.
Sure.
Right. I mean, they're the ones putting their body on the line for an extra game. The players will get something out of it, but the owners doesn't change their life at all.
No.
They're not risking a knee injury or, I mean, they're just going to sit there and collect more money, which they have every right to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's a lot of, I think you and I are both similar in this regard. I take everything now with a grain of salt. I approach everything cynically. And I think it's just there's so much fake stuff. There's so much artificial intelligence, fake videos and fake pictures that look
that
real.
Wasn't real, right.
I'm just cynical about everything now in 2025, and I'm very cynical about this, that it's like, oh yeah, we let's get an early leg up in this conversation, you know what I mean, and say, no, we're not talking about this. This isn't on the table. It's not going to be until 2031.
It's a long way away.
It's a long way away, and I think
it doesn't have to be that. They could amend. They could do this with or without the CBA.
Absolutely,
right.
Absolutely,
Doesn't
and
mean
that's
they have to wait till 31.
Exactly right, and that's where I was kind of going. This feels to me. If we're doing the over-under thing, which we've been doing some of the picking some random over and unders every day on the show here leading up to the regular season, I'm going under the 2031 CBA.
I'm putting
extension.
it 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
it could be soon. Should I spell out real quick? And we haven't gone through it. What I think will happen is, and college football is going to suffer. We both watched a lot of Labor Day football, and that was cool. But I think the regular season will open Labor Day weekend, which means 2 weeks before that will be preseason. Camp will open a little earlier across the world. Labor Day weekend, I think, will be week 1. And a lot of people have been like, they don't want to open on Labor Day weekend. Everyone's cooking and grilling. They play on Christmas. Yeah. Everyone's going to watch. I mean, what are you talking about? Any of you listening not going to watch Steelers Ravens in 2028 on Labor Day weekend?
You know what's hilarious is the one thing in this business that doesn't drop on holidays is game viewership.
It probably spikes.
Our podcast numbers drop Christmas week.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the
They
viewership,
don't have as much time to sit there listening to podcasts.
people aren't sitting in their work office for 8 hours a day listening to podcasts. They're not doing their typical workout routines and commuting to work.
Yeah, it's just
They're
a different week.
somewhere
right.
with their family hanging out.
Yeah.
The podcast numbers, the YouTube numbers, the video numbers, the clicks online all go down. But that viewership number goes up or is massive. Because while they're not consuming all the pregame and the podcasts like they normally do on a week-to-week, they're still tuning in at 1 o'clock or 7 o'clock or whenever
it's on every
whenever
TV,
the game.
Right.
Exactly right.
No question.
Exactly right.
But anyways, I think week 1 will be Labor Day. There'll be 2 byes, so that's why you're going to get an extra week.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, if you're going to play 18 games, you got to give these guys 2 byes.
I agree with that.
I've been lobbying for 2 byes forever because I think you could get one early in the year and late in the year, which would go a long way. And as importantly, if not more, the Browns are playing overseas, and then they're coming to Pittsburgh the next week. That would never happen if there was 2 byes built in.
That shouldn't happen in general.
Shouldn't happen now.
But
But the other thing that I think shouldn't happen is these Thursday night games are too hard on people. If you play Thursday night, you should more often than not be coming off a bye.
I get what you're
know
saying.
I mean?
Yeah.
And,
so it would give you some
get
wiggle
10
room
days
there.
on both sides or whatever.
It would give you wiggle room for Thursday games. It would give you wiggle room for international games, which, by the way, there's only going to be more international games.
There should be more of those. They're coming too. You need more buys for those.
I think sooner rather than later, we're going to get to a point where every team is playing at least one international game a season.
I do too. I don't know if that'll come.
Mexico, London, Ireland, Germany, Spain.
Yeah, there's one
Australia,
in Brazil on Friday.
Brazil on Friday.
Right. I think that'll
even
become
Canada and Mexico as well too.
Yeah. I mean, I was about to say, if there's 18 games, I guess that screws it up. But I think there'll be one game that's on a neutral field, 9 and 8, and that'll flip-flop every year. This year you get 9 home games. Next year NFC gets 9 home games or whatever. Mm-hmm. But just the last part of this is, if it goes that way, if you open Labor Day, you have 2 buys, you play 18, Super Bowl would then be on President's Day weekend. Which
Monday off for a lot of people.
That's the thing, Monday off. I mean, the people have been saying forever, or they take Monday off anyway. I mean, you could start the game later. You can do whatever you want with it. But I mean, it's never in a cold place, anyways. But if it was on a really cold location, there's a chance that would be like an ice bowl and kind of not be fun. But it's never there, anyways. They're gonna have it somewhere.
There was that one time that it was in New York City, right? And everyone was worried about that, and it was like unseasonably warm. Mm-hmm. It was like high 50s. You know?
Right.
So yeah, no, I unfortunately agree with you. And I think
it's coming.
I say unfortunately, more football is not a bad thing. That's not where I'm going with it. But it's like we already have such wiggle room in that window of like our summer is already over in the middle of July. It's like
I take a vacation.
After July 4th, we're going to be reporting to Latrobe. Yeah. And that's very selfishly me, but it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, I have a family vacation that overlaps with Latrobe. I drive back and forth that I might as well not even go if it's on vacation.
My in-laws don't understand. Like, I can't vacation in July. Like that's football season. You know what I mean? Having young kids now and trying to pull off a vacation with my family and with my wife's family is just forget about it. When your summer's over in the middle of July. So
many people have asked me. My son is now enrolled at the University of Kentucky.
Yeah.
So people that kind of know they know I like football. Friends that don't know my schedule. So you'll go to a bunch of Kentucky football games, right?
No,
I'm like,
how?
How am I going to do that?
How?
I would love to go to a game with them, but I mean, I'd have to drive down that morning and turn around after the game. Like, no, I'm kind of busy.
Yes, and I understand why they're doing it because
and the players will make more money. The salary cap will keep going up, and
And I think football is the one sport in this country that is insulated. And hey, maybe 10 years from now, we'll be starting to sing a different tune. I seriously doubt it.
Yeah.
But football is the one sport in this country that is nobody is ever talking about playing less games.
No one's going to play less.
NBA fans will tell you 82 games is too much. NHL fans will tell you 82 games is too much. Baseball well, I guess
has to be, right?
Baseball diehards, though, are kind of weirdos. They're like, no, you need 162 games because every team, is going to lose 60 and it's those other 100 that baseball should have less games, okay?
Yeah.
Football, no one has ever said that about the NFL. And even if it moves up earlier into the summer and later into February, I don't think people will ever say that about football.
The other thing that could actually start to happen, too, which will be hard on our marriages and things, is I think you'll get Tuesday night games. I think you get Wednesday night games. I think you get Friday night games. If
we're
going to buy, you can figure this stuff out
We're going to need
easier.
A team media CBA when this all goes down, Matt.
Right.
Or else we're all going to be getting divorced and disowned by our families.
Right, it starts Thursday, but NFL's it's 4 of the next 5 days. I'm watching every one of them. If that's the norm every week, which it easily could be with 2 buys, we got Tuesday night football now. We got Wednesday night football now. Right? Why not?
And my goodness, the college football conferences that have kind of carved out their
the
niche on those days, they're going to be like, son of a gun.
Right. Toledo.
We trailblazed this path for you, you jerks.
Right. We'll just take that, thanks.
Absolutely. So there's kind of your news of the day. Plenty to get to as we roll along here, Matt, including NFL. I think today's kind of the last day that we'll continue to do some more 30,000-foot stuff before we really dive deep into the Jets Thursday and Friday, get into a lot of your stats, get into a lot of matchups and things like that. NFL.com just put out their power rankings of quarterbacks.
Oh, good. That's something Dale and I usually do once a month or so. It's
into
been
this
a while.
Season. And I know we're kind of at the very tail end of list season here, but I did think there's some good conversation to be had in this. So we'll do that when we return on the other side. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on the drive here as we roll along on a Wednesday, getting ready for a lot of action that's about to happen very quickly here.
Heck
Mr.
yeah.
Williamson, NFL season kicking off Thursday night in Philadelphia. And then as we mentioned there in the previous segment, another Friday Night Lights type of action down in South America. Brazil. It was Brazil last year as well, too, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know
right?
if it's the same stadium or what, but it is in Brazil.
Yes,
yeah.
It was Eagles and Packers last year.
Yeah. This is Chiefs-Chargers.
Chiefs-Chargers this year. So a couple good games there to kind of kick off this new opening Friday tradition.
Super quick. I got two little programming notes. First
Absolutely.
off, we are back on YouTube. If you've been listening via podcast,
Glad
you
you
can go
said
find
that.
us
We
on
should have
YouTube.
probably said that at the start of the show. We got our guy TV with us in the booth
Taking
again.
care of business over there behind the scenes. That Brazil game rubs me wrong.
Tell me why.
So I understand because the Chargers are the home team. Fine. Everybody, the Steelers are losing a home game because they're going overseas. Chargers are going to lose a home game because they go overseas.
Furthest home game they'll ever play.
Furthest home game they'll ever play. But it shouldn't be a division game. You only get 3 home games in the division. To
I get what you're
steal
saying.
one of those means more.
That's a really
I don't
good
like
point.
that at all.
Because I'm sure you probably get this too, but around this time every year, like training camp into the preseason, late August time frame, family members, friends, people will ask me, what's the one game I should go to?
Sure.
Like, if I could only go to one Steelers home game this year, which one should I go to?
Like my mom would pick one. She's like, oh, Nashville looks fun.
Right.
Yeah, right.
And, this year I think is a little different because, man, that Sunday night game against the Packers with the Aaron Rodgers storyline feels like a little bit of a cheat, right?
Sure.
The future Hall of Famer against his old team for the first time. I also think Thanksgiving weekend at home against the Buffalo Bills is a pretty juicy one to
It's not gonna be an easy ticket
to circle. But my first answer is usually a division game. Those are always intense. They're close. They're good battles.
They
so
just
you're
mean
right.
more in the standings.
They mean more in the
That's my point.
standings.
Right.
There's like that familiarity and that contempt with the opposing fan base.
Right. Harbaugh, our first read. These are big time coaches.
That's a great point by you.
Yeah.
Let's not send those ones out of town, out of country.
Yeah, I think the Chargers get shortchanged on that double.
Well,
but anyway, we got stuff to get into
Harbaugh,
here, right?
deal with it, pal.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Matt, NFL.com putting out their quarterback week 1 power rankings index.
Okay.
Now, they rank them, but then they also break it into tiers, if that makes sense as well, too.
I hope I have to remind you, we go 32-1 around here.
We go 32-1 around here. That's exactly right. We appreciate the back.
So I assume
of
they'll
the class.
do 32. We haven't done this for a year. I assume that they're going to do all the projected starters.
All 32 projected starters, 8 different tiers.
Because usually I have a hard time when they put rookies in there, but you got to put 32. You got to put the rookies. If Cam Ward and those guys. So all right, let's do it.
Bottom tier, tier 8, has 3 people in it. 32, Spencer Rattler.
I think he has to be 32.
31, Daniel Jones.
Whoa.
And 30, formerly of this parish, Justin Fields.
Wow.
Surprised. Rattler doesn't surprise me, but Fields and Daniel Jones being at the absolute bottom of the barrel is a little surprising to me.
Yeah. Rattler has ability. I know you're a college guy. He was like a big-time recruit. He's got an arm.
Oklahoma and South Carolina.
Yeah. He's a legit prospect back in the day. There was talk about him before his senior year. Oh, he's going to be in the first round. We're talking about these guys that are coming out now. So I don't know that he's junk. I still want to see him. But he has to be 32 on the list because he's a massive unknown, and he's not Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
Jones seems super safe, and for some reasons he is, but he's too safe. He turns down a lot of throws, and he's a really good runner, but he's less aggressive the older he gets, and I don't think that's a good thing for him. I'm not sure Fields belongs with those guys.
I don't think so.
I think as much as they're going to run him, he's harder to play against than those two.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like if you and I were starting a team and we could have any of those 3, that's an easy answer for Justin Fields.
He still has a chance to be the answer for somebody, Jets or not.
Tier 7, they have a lot of these either rookies or largely unproven second-year guys.
Sure. Where do you put J.J. McCarthy?
At number 29.
Right? Yeah, okay.
That's where he is.
Okay.
But even still, having him ahead of Justin Fields to me seems off of what? Off of what basis?
If this was next week, you at least have a game. This is nothing. Right.
28, Cam Ward. 27, Michael Penix. That's your tier 7.
Okay. This is really the incomplete grade.
It's the incomplete
Penix only
grade.
played 3 games. They were good. I have hope for him, but that's not enough to be I know I have a strong eval on him. Field should be above those guys.
I think he should too.
Right. Maybe he should be at the bottom of this upcoming tier. That I'd understand.
And that's where I was kind of thinking too, because this upcoming tier, tier 6, only has 2 names in it.
Okay.
25 and 26. 26th ranked Russell Wilson, 25th ranked Joe Flacco.
You can see why they're tiering them. These are...
I even think that might be a little rich for Flacco, though.
I would say Flacco would be lower for me.
Yeah.
I mean, people remember when he was comeback player of the year for the Browns 2 years ago?
That was 2 years ago. Dak Prescott was also an MVP runner-up 2 years ago.
Right.
I mean, how much weight does that hold with people now?
And to be honest, if you really break down the Flacco tape when he was comeback player of the year, it's a cool story. Comes off the couch. I mean, he wasn't even with a team. This is like week 8 or week 9.
Great story.
They just pull him out of nowhere, and he's chucking it all over the field. But he had so many turnover-worthy throws that he got away with. And they played junk defenses. Like, it couldn't have gone better for him. Because I think this year you're going to see him out there being really aggressive, and it's not going to be as lucky. I mean, I don't think that's going to go well. And I think Russ is still a better player than him, too. I get where they both are at in their career. They're both probably holding the fort down for a young guy, Dart or Shador or Gabriel or next year's first-round pick. And no one's going to count on them ever to be more than a stopgap guy at this point. But I would much rather try to win a game with Wilson than Flacco.
Completely agree. Tier 5, also just 2 names, and it's year 2 guys with some expectations.
Okay.
24, Caleb Williams. 23, your boy, Drake May.
I get it. I mean, they're the first and third pick in the draft last year. They're ultra talented.
I don't hate those spots for them,
especially because where we're at in the year, they've played 0 games in 2025. So I like that they're tiering similar history resumes together and still have a lot to prove. I thought May was a way better player than Williams last year. I mean, just watching both tape, I thought May was the better guy and had way less around him. But putting them together, cool, Yeah.
Tier 4 has 3 names in it. 22, Trevor Lawrence. 21, Mr. Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers himself. And number 20, Tua Tagovailoa.
Understand it.
2 is an interesting one.
Two is an interesting one.
If I know he's healthy and going to play 16 or 17 games, I might even have him a couple spots higher.
Yes.
But there's just so much potential volatility there.
Let's stick with him because he is very, very much a system quarterback.
Yes.
If you asked him to do Bruce Arians' 7-step drop, be Big Ben, shrug guys off, chuck it down the field, big arm, he would fail. But and that sounds like a negative. But Joe Montana's a system quarterback. I mean, that's what good coaching is. I mean, Brady, to some degree, was a system quarterback. Let's marry the system to our quarterback. Mm-hmm. And Miami's done that well, too. If you stuck this square peg in a round hole, it would go bad. Well, don't then. You know what I mean? I don't know where to put Rodgers. He'd be one of the hard. I mean, our Steeler loyalty aside, he's probably the hardest guy to rank on this whole thing.
He's the hardest guy to rank that isn't like a first or second year guy with little to no tape.
Right, exactly. Because the tape is weird lately, and there's excuses, but he's also got a lot of MVPs, and he's going to moonwalk into the Hall of Fame.
It was pretty good in those last 6 games last year.
Right.
But struggled mightily before that.
Who else was in that tier? Who's the
22,
other?
Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. I get heat from my buddies, but I am still a Lawrence apologist believer. I would have him higher. He'd be like 15 for me.
Okay. Well, let's get into tier 3 here, which is a much larger tier. Number 19, Bryce Young.
Oh, I'd take Lawrence 1,000 times over Bryce Young.
I think I'd take a couple of those guys behind him. I think I'd take Tua over
Right.
Bryce Young, Aaron Rodgers over Bryce Young.
Now, he finished the season
But he finished the season playing
much better.
by far his best football that we've
Yes.
seen in his 2 years in the league.
Now, before that stint, he was like the worst quarterback in the league.
Yes.
You know, like that's not that far removed. And if you look at the defenses he played, they were really bad. So that's not his fault. I mean, you could nitpick a lot of these guys. Well, he didn't play the best, whatever. You play who's out
That's
there.
right.
But he's still, and it's a Wilson little guy problem, does not throw in the middle of the field. He just doesn't see it and probably never will. I would not want to build my team around him. I'd much rather roll the dice building a team around Lawrence or even Tua.
Mm-hmm. 18, Bo Nix. 17, Sam Darnold.
Okay.
16, Kyler Murray. 15, Jordan Love.
No real objections there. Nix does not belong in the Caleb Williams may tier.
He's
We saw enough.
A little more proven. Yep.
Yeah.
Took a team to the playoffs in his rookie year.
Yeah, got a lot better as the season went on. I'm sure Steeler fans remember Steelers Denver. He was struggling, but he got a lot better as the season went on. I think I've said this before and gotten burned this time of year, but I think he's pretty close to being over the hump of, I think that's a starting quarterback.
A top 15, top 12 guy for the next decade.
Probably will be
He won't be in the unicorn tier ever, but he'll be in the pretty stinking good tier.
And that's a big hump to get over. Like, I'm not sure I'm there with Caleb Williams yet. Like, that's a starting quarterback.
Definitely not there with Caleb Williams, yeah.
Who are the other names real quick? I just want to see if there's
17, Sam Darnold. 16, Kyler Murray. 15, Jordan Love.
I think Love will be in the top 10, and I 100% believe that. And who are the other ones?
Murray, and Darnold.
Darnold's almost like Rodgers. I don't know where I'd rank him. Again, he's a really tough one to slot.
He could be 12 or 13 by the end of the year. He could also be 21 or 22 by the end of the year.
We're not that far removed from him being bad, but he had a really good year last year, and Seattle trusts him, and I understand why.
14 to round out the top of tier 3 here. 14, Brock Purdy. 13, Dak Prescott.
Okay. I think that's exactly where Purdy is and belongs, which means he's worth the $57 million a year or whatever, but going to need some help. I'm still more of a Dak guy than that because people don't give him nearly enough credit for being as good as he is above the shoulders. He's a microprocessor, and they won't have a running game, and it probably won't go well, and maybe they'll even be drafting one they got 4 first-round picks over the next 2 years, so he could be on his way out. Heck, he might be the Steelers' next quarterback. I don't know. But I still think he's good.
I'm with you, too. I think he's one of the more underrated players in the National Football League.
I agree.
I'm not saying that he's one of those unicorns, but I think he's a very good quarterback.
And being the Cowboys quarterback's like being the Yankees center fielder. He's not as good as Roger or Troy. Like, well, okay. I mean, you're right.
Aaron Judge is still leading the league in home runs all the time, right?
Like DiMaggio to Mantle. I mean, it's like, yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah, all right.
There's a reason why they have 50 retired numbers in the organization of the Yankees.
Like Romo dealt with that all the time.
All the time.
Like, okay. I mean, you're still one of the best 10 quarterbacks in the league.
If you play for the Lakers, congratulations, you're not Kobe Bryant. Well, gee, thanks.
Or you're not Kareem or Shaq or whatever. Okay.
Number 12 on this list, and Matt, I love this, finally getting some of the recognition and respect he deserves. Geno Smith, our Lord and Savior, Eugene Cyril Smith III.
There's 2 or 3 names that I would put ahead of him that we've mentioned. Dak being the top of the list.
I think so too.
But
I like him being in the top 15.
Oh, he's easy top 15. And I think I've told you this on the air. I always say he's the most underrated player in the entire league. He's a good quarterback. He's not an average quarterback. He's a good quarterback. And no one ever looks at him that way.
You tell me that a lot. Arthur Moats tells me that a lot. And at first, I thought it was just because I was a WVU guy and you guys were trying to butter me up. But now I know you really mean it.
I prefer to do the opposite.
And he was, he was my quarterback my 4 years in college. So that's my guy. Number 11, Jalen Hurts. Number 10, Jared Goff. This is into tier 2 now. This is the bottom of tier 2. Tier 2 is another thick tier here.
They couldn't be any more different, but I love that they're right next to each other because. And again, this is a negative. They're both very system quarterbacks. And totally opposite type systems. 2 of the absolute best teams in the league. Probably the 2 best offensive lines since they've been there. And they win a lot. But they're not Allen or Mahomes or those guys. You know what I mean?
Well, honestly, if you're going to be a successful quarterback in this league, you better be one of 2 things. You better be a unicorn or you better be a system quarterback.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
That's really really the only way to make it work long term.
Like, if you swap those 2, they'd be so much worse.
They'd be struggling
so
big
much
time.
worse, right.
Big time. Number 10 now, and again, this is still tier 2, but now into the top 10. Jared Goff at 10, C.J. Stroud at 9, Baker Mayfield at 8.
Okay, a lot of these guys I look at like they're stocks. Like, right now, I'd be buying Trevor Lawrence stock because he's cheap. You could get him at the 22nd.
You'd be buying Jordan Love stock.
Love's another one, and Stroud's another one. I saw enough as a rookie with Stroud that I think he'll be like top 7 for his career, one of those type of deals. I've been reluctant on Baker, but I give him a lot of credit. I mean, he's tough as could be. He's been with a lot of teams already, found a home. That might be still a smidge rich for me, though.
I think that's a smidge rich for me, but I also think he's kind of earned it in a weird way.
They win the division every year. Yeah,
they've been to the playoffs 5 straight years, the Bucs have, and that's
pretty
continued in the post-Brady, post-Bruce Arians era.
Yeah.
And he's been
a lot to do with it.
And I know, again, like, I hate giving Baker Mayfield credit because his Oklahoma Sooners stomped on my Mountaineer heart every year. And because he was a Cleveland Brown, so double screw that guy. But, man, his, first 5 years in the league, he had 57 offensive coordinators.
I know.
He's now about
4 different teams.
He's now about to still have his 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 years with Tampa.
True.
Now because they're having success and they're getting other jobs, not because guys are getting fired.
Yeah.
But I think he has had, people do this, have done this a lot with some of the quarterbacks that the Steelers have got. The Steelers weren't fair to Kenny Pickett. The Steelers weren't fair to Mitch Trubisky. The Steelers weren't fair to Justin Fields. Baker Mayfield has been able to say that throughout a large majority of his career and has still found a way to be a top 12 quarterback in the league.
He gets a quick cup of coffee with the Panthers. Rams pick him up off waivers, I think, and played him the next day, and he was okay. And now he's found a home. In a way, I do like praising him because the Browns used first overall pick on him and probably should have just stuck with him.
They should have.
I mean, consider
they'd be in a much better spot right now.
No, they would be, right, unless they ruined him. Maybe it's you, not me. You know what I mean? Who was the other guy in that tier that we didn't talk about?
That was Goff 10, Stroud 9, Mayfield 8.
Oh, okay. We hit all those dudes.
Yeah. You ever seen the movie Anchorman?
Yeah.
That scene at the very end where Vince Vaughn is holding Will Ferrell on the ladder, and he's like, "I don't like you, but I respect you."
Yeah.
That's me with Baker Mayfield.
Okay, yeah.
Number 7.
He's hard not to respect.
Number 7, Matt Stafford. And number 6, to round out Tier 2, or the top of Tier 2, Justin Herbert.
I'm cool with that.
I'm cool with 6 and 7 there.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I think Stafford's an easy Hall of Famer. Not everyone seems to agree with me.
I'm with you on that.
I thought he was way underrated in his Lions days, too. You talk about swimming upstream and getting the crap beat out of him and having nothing around him. Now he's in a great situation and winning like crazy. I hope he doesn't miss as a fan, I hope he's himself and then can retire in his own time, not this back thing.
Yeah.
I probably would have Herbert 5. I think there's 4 superhumans. I'm sure Daniels is 5, which I understand because I think he can be a superhuman, but I think Herbert's better than him right now.
Daniels is 5.
Okay.
And I don't hate that, but I would not have him in Tier 1 with the other 4. I would have him at the top of Tier 2 if you're going to do it that way.
Right.
But he is
because that's praise, man. I mean, don't tell me you're the same as Allen and Lamar and Mahomes. I mean, come on.
And I know he just tied Ben Roethlisberger's record for most wins by a rookie quarterback in their rookie season in league history.
Awesome rookie year.
But there's also still some of that. You don't crown anybody off of 1 year, no matter how great it was.
Didn't you say it's a big Moats thing too with
that's
rookies?
All the time.
Yeah.
Don't crown anybody.
I agree with them.
Everyone was doing this with C.J. Stroud last year, and it's not like C.J. Stroud fell off a cliff, but he didn't take off in year 2 like everyone expected to become a bona fide top 5 unquestioned guy.
Kind of like the plexiglass principle I've told you about. How the Texans took a step back. I bet Daniels took 8 steps forward. He takes half of one back. Every defensive coordinator in league, especially his division, or what can I do to screw with this guy?
I still think he's definitely going to be a top 10 quarterback in the league. He might just be closer to 10 than he is to 5.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
But of anyone on here, could anyone enter the top 4?
He would be the one.
He has as good a chance as any.
He would absolutely.
Right.
He would absolutely
show me
be the
more.
one. And then, Matt, the 4 unicorns, as you would expect. Here's how NFL.com ranks them. Joe Burrow, number 4. Josh Allen, number 3. Lamar, 2, and Mahomes, 1. I don't hate it. I think I'd swap Allen and Lamar, but I don't hate
splitting hairs.
I would definitely have Burrow at 4.
I think he's unbelievably good.
I think I would have you got to keep Mahomes at 1 as much as
I think out of respect you have to. Right.
But let me ask you this right now, as we round this exercise out.
Yeah.
If this is like Madden video game style, and you're starting a franchise from scratch, and you have the first overall pick, I might take Josh Allen.
I would understand it. I mean,
I think
ridiculously talented.
Well, I think Mahomes might be the second best quarterback of all time already.
I think he's number 1.
I might take Josh Allen.
I understand it. I mean, the thing people don't realize about Allen, and some of this is really true with Lamar too. Mahomes came in the league, and when he was a starter, was awesome. They won the Super Bowl his first year. I mean, he's never been bad. Allen and Lamar have gotten so much better. Allen, for example, coming out of Wyoming, he was really low on my list. I'm like, his accuracy stinks. And for a year or two with the Bills, his accuracy was bad.
Going into his third year, they were asking a lot of questions about him.
Heck yeah. And to his point, he's
In
like one of the
his third
poster
year.
boys for the biomechanic quarterback movement of changing your stuff, and he's become extremely accurate. But he's always had like 3 or 4 plays a game. You're like, don't do that, Brett Favre. Like putting the ball in harm's way.
Just throw it away, man. Live to fight another down.
Now instead of 3 or 4, there's 1. So he's still going to have the crazy gunslinger in him. But now, you know me, sacks are a quarterback stat. I used to say equal to O-line. I think it's even more now. He's unsackable. You know how bad a sack hurts your drive? He led the league. He had the fewest sacks last year. He's got Ben-like ability to shrug off Terrell Suggs. He can run, but he's also way smarter. Like, I'll just throw it away. I'm not taking. I know how bad a sack hurts a drive. I'm just not going to take him anymore.
Doesn't take sacks anymore.
Right.
Rarely turns it over anymore. That's why he won the NFL MVP next. And we could talk about should it have been him or Lamar or whatever.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
why he won it, is because his highlight tape was always amazing.
It hasn't changed at all.
But his low light tape was a head scratcher.
Right.
Now the low light tape is 30 seconds long. It's very quick.
Exactly.
And the highlight tape is still wow.
But meanwhile, Lamar's changed his game a lot too. I mean, he's a phenomenal pocket passer.
The guy had 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions last year, and I'm like, actually, he'd be number 3 on my list.
That's how good the quarterbacks are right now. So I was actually having a similar conversation a couple hours ago, and I said, even when both their athleticism inevitably fail them, they'll still be great quarterbacks. Like, they could just be Matthew Stafford in the pocket now. They couldn't when they came in the league. They had to rely on the gifts.
Which is, like you said, those guys have really grown.
Oh, man.
And gotten better since they came into the National Football League. And I think a very deserved for both of those guys right on the heels of Patrick Mahomes. So there's your initial quarterback ranking and tiers. I don't know if we'll do that every week, but we'll revisit that.
Every couple.
Yeah, and I think every couple weeks, too, we should do a college football quarterback conversation like we talked about. Now might be the time to buy stock on Arch Manning, because everyone sold their Arch Manning stock on Saturday.
Yeah, that market crashed.
First kind of real game is the guy. You got to go to the defending national champions in one of the most hostile environments in college football.
Against Matt Patricia, that was the key to
Wouldn't be writing that guy off just yet.
No.
Wouldn't be writing that guy off just yet. Matt, we got to get to break. When we come back, final segment of the hour on the other side. We'll continue to get into a whole bunch of things, actually. You put out some interesting numbers on Twitter that I want to pick your brain on.
I was finishing up Matt's stats last night.
Oh, yeah, tomorrow's going to be
right.
a heavy Matt stats day
it's
here
a
on the
beefy
drive.
document, man.
I'm going to need probably 3 hours and a glass of wine to get through it later tonight.
More than one glass of wine.
Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt, we got to get our show clock here back on schedule. So short segment here to reset for hour number 2. But
yeah, we were rolling those first 2.
Look at us, baby!
Yeah.
It's like it's game week or something, and we're a little excited and fired up, and plenty to talk about here on the drive all week. And I mean, really, we're hitting this point where like the content is going to just be dropped in our laps for the next 20 weeks. It is a very fantastic time. It's like the whole offseason, we're like the baseball player that stands in the batter's box with the big donut around his bat. Yeah. And then finally we take the donut off and we just swing, baby. Andrew tweets us and says, and he's got a screenshot of what looks like DraftKings or some, sports betting, sports gambling odds and ends here. Okay. And he says, based on your guys' conversation yesterday, this feels like it has a lot of value. Aaron Rodgers over under 22.5
touchdowns,
passing touchdowns on the season. For under, he's getting a little less than 2-1 odds, but not bad. Over, a little bit more than 2-1 odds. The number I came up with yesterday was 27.5.
Okay.
And we were I think we both went slightly under, I think was our answer.
I thought it was a really good number.
And I do remember you giving me credit for that. 22.5 feels like a definite over, right?
I mean, player props always lean towards under, folks. There's one injury and you win.
One injury,
yeah. I mean, again, so that being said, now he did play 17 games last year, and I don't think just because of his age, I don't think he's more injury prone than others. Because frankly, I also don't think he's going to take that many hits because the ball's going to come out, and for
No
better
doubt.
or worse.
No doubt.
I don't think he's going to take as many hits.
Minimizing impact,
as
certainly.
Josh Allen, of course. Now, if you didn't listen to yesterday's show, I can't quote this enough. But first of all, if you didn't listen to yesterday's show, shame on you for 6 weeks.
Mike Lang.
But since 2022, 51 regular season games, the Steelers have thrown 46 touchdown passes.
That is crazy.
Lowest in the NFL by a wide margin. Under 1 a game is sinful. I mean, that's really, really bad.
Can I have a counterpoint, though?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers ain't Justin Fields and Russell Wilson and Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky.
But a year ago, I often made the joke, well, maybe they'll throw touchdowns this year because Wilson throws a lot himself. And it wasn't terrible. It was better, but it wasn't Pickett, Trubisky, Duck.
Well, and especially when George Pickens went out last year.
But
that
that's
was
a problem, too.
Yeah.
But
that could affect this Aaron Rodgers thing, too, right? It's not just if he misses a couple games. What if DK Metcalf misses a couple games? 22.5, though, feels like
I still would be over.
Over.
Because I mean, in his last 51 games, Rodgers has thrown 91 compared to 46 for the Steelers.
It's an early little Matt stats nugget for you.
Now, I'm not throwing Rodgers under the bus, but I think they had the most passing attempts in the league last year, the Jets.
They did. Like 520 something, I want to say, give or take.
And like Jets fans kind of like sour grapes. And he's had this reputation over his course of being in the NFL. He's aware of his stats. Let's just say that if they're down on the 3-yard line, he may check to a throw.
Hey, that'll help in this regard.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like he ended up with a lot of touchdowns last year. Maybe they could just hand it off to Breece Hall. It's kind of one of his reputations.
Interesting.
He's aware.
Interesting. Well, we will certainly keep an eye on that as we roll along there. Good question by Andrew to close us down for the first hour. Hour number 2 on the other side. I've got some Matt stats that I want to get into. Okay. We've also got to continue our NFC over and unders in hour number 2. Plenty to get to as we roll along. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Hour number 2 of The Drive here as we're getting closer and closer to the real thing. A little over 24 hours from now, the NFL will be back in action, of course, with a classic NFC East rivalry.
Yeah.
The Micah Parsons-less Cowboys against the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to raise that banner. Okay, quick little pet peeve. The Eagles tomorrow night are going to raise a banner. That's not the pet peeve. I know the Steelers don't do that thing. Some teams do. Whatever.
Yeah. Personal choice.
Personal choice. No wrong answer. No right answer. One thing that bothers me is you go to these stadiums where teams do hang banners like that, Matt.
Okay.
And you'll see tonight the Eagles will hang one that will say 2024, 2025 world champions.
Oh.
I'm sorry. You grew up on the playground like I did.
Mm-hmm. Recess,
Sports. Never once did me and my buddies go, we just won the world championship.
No.
We're playing for the Super Bowl.
Right.
Every sport does that. It drives me nuts. I know this is a total aside, but it's like when you were a kid and you're standing in the batter's box, it's the bottom of the 9th inning, 2 outs, World Series. And no one's going, we won the world. No, you wanted to win a World Series. You wanted to win a Super Bowl. You wanted to win a Stanley Cup. You didn't want to win a world championship. That just bothers me.
Like, I guess like hockey and basketball are more relevant. Or I guess baseball would be too.
Played around
the world. You're not the only
league
league in town. Maybe you're the best one. And
you're definitely the best one.
I'm never going to fight you on that, but you didn't beat every team in Italy if you're the Lakers or whatever.
That's the talking point that a lot of people use. But that doesn't even bother. It's like the fact that like none of those guys on the Eagles when they were growing up thought, I want to win a world championship. You want to win a Super Bowl.
So along those lines, I think we had this conversation at Sharky's camp. And that I think Mike brought it up, Pursuta, that if you walk in Duke and you see the banners, the level of how good a banner needs to be is a lot different than in some places than others. It's like, we came in second in the ACC East. Like, that doesn't get up at Duke. You know what I mean? Like, we made it to the Sweet 16. Like, it's not good enough. Right.
Matt, when I was in the 3 years that I lived and worked in Philadelphia, I went up to Boston one time for the Bean Pot, which is a big college hockey thing between Boston College, Harvard, Northeast, the four Division I hockey schools in Boston. It's a tournament that they have every year. It's a big deal. And I remember
great players too. I mean, like it's high end. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There are guys, a lot of guys playing for the Pens and around the league that that went to those schools. Absolutely. Going into the Boston Garden, it's like half of it is Celtics, retired numbers, and 50 championships. And the other half is
not like we won the division one year.
Is Bruins, retired players, and like their 5 or 6 Stanley Cups, however many they have. There's no division title banners hanging up there.
Yeah.
That is the way it should be. But I just tonight I'm going to be like, world champions. I don't get it. You wanted to win the Super Bowl. You won the Super Bowl. Take some pride in that, baby.
I mean, I'm cool with like Yager Lemieux scoring title. That's fine. But I don't need like won the Patrick division in 1988. Like, it's not that great, dude. That's not a banner.
The Colts have one hanging up that they always get ripped on for, and it says 2015 AFC Championship game appearance.
That's got to come down, dude.
Sometimes the jokes just write themselves.
All right.
Matt, continuing our ongoing theme here of over and unders that we spend some time on every day. We've been rounding this out. 2 more divisions left in the NFC. Let's go to the NFC South today,
cool,
if that's all right with you.
That'll work.
Falcons, Panthers, Saints, and Bucks. I think probably no surprise here. Tampa Bay has the highest over-under in that division with 9.5. Their Warren Sharp strength of schedule rating is the 10th easiest in the national.
They get to play those 6 teams. This goes a long way.
Yep, 10th easiest in the National Football League.
Okay, even though they have a first place schedule, they got the Eagles and the Lions and all those good teams. They do get 6 pretty nice division games, and I'm definitely going to pick them to win their division. And as we've done, I often look at these things like, well, what do you think their division record is? Probably 5-1. It's a good starting point. If you start 5-1, you go what? You got another 11 games to get to 10. That's a pretty good spot. That being said, I got an email or a tweet today talking about the Bucks and laid out every quarterback they played last year. It's horrendous. I mean, like even like when they got a couple of the young guys that had good years, like Jaden Daniels, it was like his first career start or second career start.
Kind of like the Steelers did with Bo Nix.
Like, you put Bo Nix on the list, it looks pretty good, but you got him at the right time. So I do think their defense is a little overrated. You know, no one thinks it's great, but I think could come back to earth a little. They've got some injuries. I might go under, but I got a lot of respect for them. I mean, I think they'll win the division.
I think they'll win the division, but they could at 9-8.
That's the thing. They probably get to 10.
If they go 5-1 in the division, though,
that's the thing. That's why I keep going backwards in my head.
That's a tough one.
I'm going to go over. I think you get to 10.
I think I'm going to lean over, too. Yeah. But I think they're definitely 9 or 10 wins.
Yeah. I thought that number might be higher.
Don't see a losing record. I don't know if I see them getting to 11, though.
Yeah.
I think I'll go a 10-7 Tampa team this year.
Vegas is smartened up on these because it used to be some teams would just get a flat number. It'd be like 10. Not all of them were 0.5s.
Right.
And if they were at 10, I think 9's way more likely than 11.
Completely agree.
But I think they get to 10.
Completely agree.
All you do is 5 and 6 outside the division.
And when you look at these other 3 teams and their over and unders, it does not paint a pretty picture.
Bad, yeah.
Falcons next up, 7.5 is their over and under. They have the 4th easiest schedule in the NFL, according to Warren Sharp.
As I said, the schedule really makes me go over on this one. And I think they got a lot of holes. I think they're a little bit overrated in terms of they're ready to contend, all this nonsense. Their O-line's already banged up. I don't think the defense is fixed. But they probably win 4 in the division. You know, I mean, the schedule's very favorable. I'll take the over. I am a Penix believer.
I am too. It's tough, though. I mean, for them to win 8 games, I can definitely see it. I might lean under, though, on this one, though.
I can see it.
I think right in that 7 or 8 wins feels right.
I think they have a lot of questions.
They just have a lot of questions, and I think Bijan is great. And, they've got a no doubt number 1 wide receiver in Drake London, which certainly is going to help a young quarterback. I think I might go under, though. I think I'm going to lean under on this one. Just
if the
slightly.
Strength of schedule was middle of the road, I'd go under because it's
a good point.
Favorable. I'm going to go over.
I feel like I've taken way too many overs. I need to hit some unders.
That's the thing.
Too.
Is you get hooked doing 2, and you can't win them all.
Carolina Panthers 6.5. They have the everyone in this division a top 10 easy schedule, which makes sense because they all play each other. Carolina Panthers, 6.5 is their over-under win number, 7th easiest schedule in the National Football League.
I'm still going under.
I think so too.
We talked about Bryce Young earlier.
For them to win 7 games, I don't see it.
I still have some doubts about Bryce Young. I think his supporting cast is pretty good.
Better.
I think they have a better coach than they've had. I mean, the organization's finally go in the right direction for the first time under Tepper since he's bought it. I still think the defense, which was like by far the worst in the league last year, is going to be way below average still.
I think
it's still another offseason or two away.
That's the big kicker for me is I think their defense is going to be one of the 3 or 4 worst in the league.
Yes.
And it's going to be very hard to win more than 6 games with that bad of a defense.
Yeah, because I don't think Bryce Young's going to Joe Burrow your way to shootouts and win 35-33.
Correct. Correct. So we'll both go under 6.5 for Carolina.
Yeah.
And then finally, also at 6.5, the New Orleans Saints, 3rd easiest schedule in the NFL, according to Sharp Analysis.
Okay. I think they're a little better than people think. Like, everyone looks at the Browns and Saints as clearly the worst 2 teams in the league. I think they're noticeably better than the Browns. They have a young O-line, Kamara, Olave.
They've got some proven playmakers.
Yeah. I mean, the offense, other than the quarterback, and that's huge. I understand there's a giant elephant in the room with the quarterback. But they have an offensive-minded coach. I think 10 of the 11 on offense are pretty decent. Defense has usually been good, but it's really old and kind of a mess right now. I'm going under. I thought they'd be at like 5.5, though. I can't see them getting to 7.
I can't see them getting to 7.
They're at 6.5, right?
They're 6.5.
Yeah, I can't see them getting to 7.
I'm with you on this. I think a lot of people lump them into the Browns territory, into Carolina Panthers territory.
Yeah.
I think they're one of those teams that's kind of like the Giants. I think they're going to be better than people think, but that necessarily won't be reflected in a 7 or 8 win season.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be a doormat. They'll play and lose a lot of close games, but
probably
like they'll probably have 9, 10, 11 one-score games, and they'll only win 1 or 2 of them. But I don't think they're going to be as bad as people think. I'm with you on that, but I don't see them winning 7 games. I'll go under.
And I'm not 100% sold Rattler's going to be like the worst quarterback in the league. He might be 25th, which gets you an extra win.
Better than 32.
Right.
Matt, what do you say? A little bit of a curveball for you here, but you want to knock out the NFC West so we can wrap up this exercise?
Yeah, we're getting the week's getting.
I was going to say the next 2 days, I feel like we're going to have a lot of Steelers and Jets stuff.
Yeah, we're not going to do this Thursday, Friday.
Exactly right. So
yeah, let's do it.
Let's get into it now. Arizona
the
Cardinals.
The crazy thing about this division is I could see any order of how it ends up. You could tell me the Niners are 1, 2, 3, or 4. The Cardinals are 1, 2, 3, or 4. So I don't know how to. This is the weirdest division to me.
I see what you're saying there. I still think I give the Niners and the Rams a lot more.
The Cardinals would be my 4th.
Leeway.
Right, but I think it's the most bunched up division.
I think that's
from 1 to 4 is the closest. You know what I mean?
I think that's a fair way to put it. I think that's a very fair way to put it. Let's start with the Cardinals. We'll go alphabetically here. 8.5 is their over-under number in Vegas right now. They have the 11th easiest schedule in the National Football League.
I know the Niners have the easiest schedule in the league. So the divisions these teams must play I think they play both Souths.
Sounds
almost,
right.
That would
Sounds right.
100% add up because the 6 division games are pretty hard.
Pretty tough.
No one's going to be huge favorites.
There's not a doormat that's going to win 3 games.
Right. I'm still under on Arizona. I think that coaching staff really has outkicked their coverage since they've been there. Like when they took that job 2 years ago, they had the worst roster in the league. I don't think anybody really even wanted the job. And they've manufactured a lot of things schematically on both sides of the ball with lesser talent. That being said, I still don't think they're super talented yet. Is Harrison a big-time receiver yet? Not really. Maybe will be.
But didn't have the rookie season last year that I think a lot of people expected him to have.
I still think he's a good player, but I don't think he's the next Justin Jefferson. The defense is reinforced, especially on the D-line, but they still are lacking some starters too. Tough division. I think they're under.
Yeah.
I don't love Kyler.
Are they going to win 9 games and have a winning record? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't love Kyler. I don't hate Kyler. Yeah. But at the same time, too, if he misses a couple games, then all of a sudden that definitely feels like an under.
He's got a real history of getting worse as the season goes on, which frankly I blame on size and the just the endurance of the season.
Sure.
Getting the better of you,
Unless you're able to process and dice up back there like Drew Brees, it's very hard for those undersized guys.
And like all athletes, though, I mean, he inevitably is going to sprain a knee or an ankle and lose a little bit of juice, and as the season goes on.
The Rams, 9.5 is their over/under win total number. They have the 20th easiest, so 12th most difficult schedule in the NFL.
Again, they play a first-place schedule. Stafford's back is the elephant in the room on this one.
That's if you tell me
17 games out.
If you tell me he plays 17 games, I think that's an easy over.
Yes, and I think they can make noise in the playoffs.
Absolutely,
be a contender, and I don't throw that word around much. And I also think McVay is the best coach in the whole league. So if he has Jimmy Garoppolo for 4 games,
not the end.
They might split or win 3, or they'll make something happen. I'm going to go under though. To me, it's just kind of a fragile build.
There's a lot of
their schedule's not easy.
There's a lot of potential mishaps that could happen. With that roster, mainly with Matthew Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
But they are. Listen, I really like the roster, but 9.5, tough division. I think I'm
on the fence. It's a good number.
It is a very good number. If it's 10.5, it's an under. If it's 8.5, it's an easy over.
Again, if it was 9, I would definitely go over.
You know what, though? I think I'm going to lean over. I think I'm going to give McVay benefit of the doubt that they can get to at least 10 with that roster, even if Stafford misses some time.
I mean, it kind of goes without saying, but with a 17-game schedule, 10 wins ain't what it used to be. You know what I mean? 10-7 is a good record, but it's not that crazy.
Sure.
It used to be 10-6, or you're definitely in the playoffs.
San Francisco, the 49ers, highest in the division.
Easiest schedule in the
10.5, and they have the easiest schedule in the NFL. But
they have some issues, though.
They're going to win 11 games? I don't know. They're another one with a lot of injury questions.
They're going to play like 4 starters on defense that are rookies. That scares the heck out of me. Their O-line's always up in the air. They got a lot of injuries at receiver. McCaffrey's back. They're going to need a lot from Purdy. I know their schedule's super easy, but I don't think their division schedule's super easy. I mean,
what if they go 3-3 in the division?
Yeah. I say this all the time about Shanahan. He's been their coach 8 years. 4 of them, they've lost double-digit games. 4 of them, they've won double-digit games.
And, been in the NFC Championship game or further. Yeah, it's very weird.
And last year was bad, which often means the next year's good. But I'm going to go under.
I think I'm going to go under, too.
Yeah.
I think they can still win the division with a 10-game. It's certainly possible they could go 10-7 and win the division, maybe with a tiebreaker over the Rams, something like that.
10.5 was the number, right?
10.5 is the number. I
think the Rams are better than them. I mean, if I were just to bet who's going to win more games,
I would
take the Rams, and I took the under on both teams.
I would too. I think I'm going to take the under on both teams.
Okay.
To see the Niners, and again, I know this is what they do. They'll win 3 games, and then they'll win 13 games.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But eventually,
they're kind of built that way, yeah.
Eventually that catches up to you, and the offensive line isn't what it once was, and what if McCaffrey misses a handful of games?
Yeah, they're relying on a lot of young guys.
A lot of question marks there. And as you mentioned, a handful of rookie starters on the defense is always going to take some time.
Yeah, it's going to take time at least. The first month, it might not be pretty on defense.
Yeah, agree. And finally, the Seattle Seahawks, 7.5 is their number. 13th easiest schedule in the league, so pretty close to the middle there.
I am very much on the over. I'm a big believer in this coaching staff, especially after the offensive coordinator change. I think they're one of those 5 teams we've been talking about that could have the best defense in the entire league. I think the offense will be – I mentioned the offense coordinator change. They hired a University of Washington's offense coordinator last year, and he didn't know how to call plays at the NFL level. I mean, it's a different game, and it really, really showed. They have this saying that your first coaching staff as a head coach is your worst coaching staff.
Yeah.
Because you don't quite know how to hire yet.
Makes sense.
You know what I mean? And I think just that in itself could go a long way. I'd rather Geno was still there because there's some volatility with Darnold for sure. I wish Metcalf was still there. They could use another guy. I don't trust Cooper Kupp. But I think I could see him win that division.
Really?
I mean, I could see it. I don't think that'd be my pick, but I could see 9-ish. I think they'll win 9-ish.
Then that's an over for you.
That's an over, yeah. I don't adore them, but I like their defense a lot.
To say they only win 7, I think, is a little low for me.
Yeah, 7
I think it's
and 10
more likely they win 8 or 9. So I think I'm with you on that. You make a very good point about their offensive coordinator.
It's big.
And that's kind of, that's a funny follow-up about, you remember yesterday I had that 30-second rant about, people who just treat college football in the NFL
right.
like if you could have, like, look at Lane Kiffin in the NFL compared to college.
Right.
Like the way that those guys in college can manipulate the hash marks, can manipulate the clock. Like it is
so much different athletes you're playing against on defense and blitz packages and
completely different game. Would expect an uptick though in year 2, definitely.
Yeah, I think
I'm going to go over because again, 7 wins seems a little light. 8 or 9 seems more realistic.
I've told you that I've had success playing this game for the last 20 years over under win totals, and one of my rules or guidelines: bet against rookie quarterbacks, bet against rookie head coaches. Sometimes you get both together. You definitely bet against them, but I bet their head coach was like, I made a lot of mistakes as a rookie head coach, including maybe who I hired as offense coordinator, et cetera, et cetera. New city, I'm in charge of this whole thing. I think they'll be better.
Hey, I still remember after his first year, Mike Tomlin talking about the things that he needed to change and adjust and do differently that he learned on the job his first year as a head coach.
They don't give you an owner's manual, right?
Right. There's not a clear laid out blueprint of how to do this.
It's like becoming a parent for the first time. It's like, okay, here you go.
Good luck. Wait, I got to take this baby home?
Right.
All by myself?
What are the instructions?
Where's the instruction manual? That'd be is one of these nurses going to come home with us for a week and help me get set up?
I have a feeling TV's figured this out. I haven't seen him much lately, but he may have figured this out as well.
We got a lot of this, this younger generation of Steelers employees that are all now hitting their 30s and having kids, and Matt's dropping his off at college. We're all just our very own ecosystem here, I tell you. That's it for our team over and unders exercise for the season.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
If anybody, as Matt mentioned, if anybody tracked those, hit us up. We would love to know how we did at the end of the season. Not to make anybody else produce the show for us, but why don't you go ahead and produce the show for us? That would be very nice.
That can be useful too.
Rolling along here. When we return, like I said, I've teased it a couple times. Matt puts out a lot of great tweets that have information and stats and a hodgepodge of information. Maybe that's what we'll call it. I want to go through a hodgepodge of some of the things that Matt has unearthed that have caught my eye here in the last couple days. We'll do that when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. So for those who might not know, and I'm assuming most of you do, this is The Drive. This is the baby of Matt Williamson and Dale Lawley that you guys have, close to a decade built up over here, right? Do you remember the exact year you guys started doing
That's not my job. He's the big brother. He knows these things. I don't know
Well,
these
Moats
things.
and I were 8 years.
We were well before that.
So, and
At
you
least
guys
a year or two
were
before
definitely
that.
a couple years before us. So,
Yeah.
obviously,
we didn't even know each other. They just threw us together.
That's
and
the same. Moats and I met the day before we started doing a show together.
Okay.
The day before, we had like a 20-minute meeting with Brian LaMartina, our iHeart boss here.
Okay.
And it was like, all right, guys, let's do a show.
I don't know if you remember the name Randy Slack. Good dude.
Of course I do, yeah. He used to be the DVE producer, yeah.
It was the three of us, and we were in this tiny little corner of the video room down at the
on the south side of the facility.
We had a round bar table. We all kind of huddled around, and Randy, God bless us, always a great dude. He would bring us in, and then
you guys would talk for 20 minutes.
We would talk for 2 hours straight, and then he'd be like, and that's the show. I think this is going to go pretty well between the two.
That's fantastic. I love it. I love it. So I'm sure that most of you are familiar with Matt Williamson, just his Matt stats, his deep dive into a lot of the numbers and the analytics and the things behind the surface level, football stuff, the master's level, right? Like, You got your PhD in this stuff, Mr. Williamson, your law degree,
I've embraced analytics a great deal over the last 5 to 10 years.
Yes.
I think more so than a lot of people in this town.
Completely agree. Yeah. Especially in this town where things tend to be a little more old school, and
it takes some convincing for some of our listeners. EPA, what are you talking about? Right.
Mike, when I started in 2018, it was either 2018 or 2019, my first year or two here. And I remember it was something like Moats and I talked about something like that on a segment. And we had a couple people tweet us and be like, nobody cares about analytics and fancy stats.
It's all made up. Right.
And I remember talking about this with Pursuta. And Pursuta said this line that still sticks with me.
He's a little tough one to.
Pursuta, well, he is a tough one in that department. But
that nut's cracking finally.
It is finally cracked, and it relates to what he said, because what he told me is he said football fans in this town turn like the Titanic. He said, you just got to give them time. They move, but they move slowly. They turn like the Titanic, so just plug away and give them time. You'll get there.
You got to explain it, and I think I do a good job on that in a lot of different forums.
You do.
This is why it matters. I know you've never heard of this stat, but this is what it does, and blah, blah, blah,
But as you and I have been doing shows together now pretty regularly for the last 6-7 weeks or whatever it may be since the start of training camp.
And we've been on the air together for years.
And we have done stuff at the draft and the combine and all those different times of the year as well, too. I have been bookmarking a lot. You will just throw random nuggets, random tweets out. Sometimes at 9 in the morning, sometimes at midnight, sometimes at 3 in the afternoon.
Oh, there's often a glass of bourbon next to me and whatever's on TV, and like, oh, this is interesting.
Sometimes there's a little context to it. Sometimes it is quite literally just, here you go. Here's a number.
I like to put like a sentence out there, and you can decipher this however you want. Right.
So I've been trying to come up with like a way, because I would like to do this regularly.
Okay.
Where I kind of go through and pull out, like separate from the Matt stat stuff that you do. We'll do dedicated stuff for every week.
And to pull back the curtain, sometimes I just cut and paste a bullet point out of Matt's stats. Because
Correct.
I'm like, oh, it dawned on me and it's on my mind,
I wanted to call this the Matt Williamson hodgepodge of nothingness.
Okay.
But I don't think this is nothingness.
I say, don't be calling this nothingness.
So how about the hodgepodge? Quite the opposite, actually. How about the hodgepodge of randomness?
That's cool.
Does that work?
Because they're kind of unprovoked. They just, boom, yeah.
And again, some of them kind of fit within context of conversations. Others are just good numbers to discuss.
Mm-hmm. It's funny that one sentence could be a whole segment for us.
Sometimes one sentence that you tweet out can be a whole segment.
Yeah.
Like this one. Let's start here.
I've done podcasts on, here's one bullet point. I'm going to give you 15 minutes on it.
Across Arthur Smith's stops in the National Football League.
Oh, this was from last night, yeah.
No tight end in his offense has ever played more than 75% of the team's snaps.
I know. I think that's really relevant for what's going on right now. And that's crazy.
We talked about
He's had some good ones.
We talked about this a little bit from a fantasy football perspective when we were talking tight ends.
Yeah. You don't really want his tight ends.
But even bigger picture, I think this will really, forget the fantasy stuff as we're talking Steelers related, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this, I think, will really paint the picture of how they want it to be, for lack of a better term, a group effort or a group project from those three.
So fantasy football people, and a lot of these stats and numbers come from those folks, by the way. It's big business now, of course. Fantasy football people were not and did not give Arthur Smith a good reputation, especially as head coach in Atlanta, where nobody could tell him no. Like, you draft Bijan 8th overall, and why is Algier out there for, or Kyle Pitts is off the field, or London, he was my 3rd-round pick. Why aren't you using him more and more and more? You should never leave the field. You should throw to him every time. And that's relevant because I think Smith would probably even tell you if he was sitting here, yes, I like to use a rotation. Even the term depth chart in the NFL is becoming a little more and more obsolete. The Falcons' new head coach said today, I don't really believe in depth charts. 3rd and 8, I'm going to put Scotty Miller out there. It's not you're 5th on the depth chart.
It's not static football.
I need 3 guys to get hurt for you to see the field. No, Skoronek's going to be out there once in a while,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Smith overall wants to use a lot of people. Keep his guys fresh. Defenses don't rotate as much.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can wear them down using more bodies. I can get more hockey lines out there to yours. You know what I mean? And maybe that's not always having the best players on the field for every snap. It's, it won't be. We know that. I mean, if Bijan comes off the field, somebody was less than him, Algier.
Sure.
But he can't play every snap. I mean, how do you most effectively use them? But I think it's especially true with tight ends. Like, to be frank, I had a problem with the Steelers' tight end usage a year ago.
Okay.
Because when they were in 12, 1 back, 2 tight ends, and I'm not going to explain this every time, guys. You got to know this by now. You got to do your homework, too.
It's post-Labor Day weekend. It's time to, we're speaking football vernacular.
And remember, they didn't have Jonnu. The tight end room's better now than then.
Much better.
But their 12 personnel in 2024, too often for my liking, did not include Pat Freiermuth. It was Michael Pruitt. Maybe it was Hayward,
mm-hmm.
Washington. I'm not saying he never did, but But you would think if there's 2 tight ends on the field, your best guy should be out there.
Especially when there was your clear-cut best guy last year in Pat Freiermuth.
He should be 85% of the 12 personnel, and he wasn't. I forget what the number is, but it was low. So there's good and bad. But I definitely think with 3 of them, this is going to keep up. I mean, it's going to get even more so, where they're going to get close to equal snaps, in my opinion. Different situations or different players.
And that's
what I mean.
That's what I think definitely. Listen, Tunch and Wolf used to say this all the time. There's lies, there's dang lies. They would use a different 4-letter D word. But there's lies, there's dang lies, and then there's statistics.
And Wolf was not easy not to crack either, but he started to embrace it at the end. He liked Matt's stats. I'm like, I'm not sure I'm going to send him to him.
You all those racks of ribs that you guys ate together for your Wednesday night shows. He finally warmed up to realizing this guy knows what he's talking about.
He's backing him up, and they make some sense. And right. I think he even quoted him on the air, in the booth.
I think this is one of those statistics that, again, sometimes just a number like that can be manipulated. There's situational stuff around it, all that. But I think this is something.
Maybe their best guy got hurt the year that Brock Bowers was going to play 100 snaps, or Kellen Winslow, or, you know what I mean? Right, yeah.
But I think when you combine what is now like a real depth of history with Arthur Smith offenses, it's not 2 years that we're going off of.
No. Johnny Smith's been part of it every step of the way. He's not going to play 80% of the snaps.
And these 3 guys who are all talented in their own right, different skill set, the way you're going to be able to use them and deploy them in different scenarios, I think you can take this stat, that number, to the bank. Like if you and I were doing over-under, any of these guys play more than 75% of the snaps at tight end, I think that's an easy under.
I think it's an easy under because, I mean, you'd have to play a ton of 13, and they will, but a ton of 13 is still 10% of the snaps. I mean, it's not 60% of the snaps.
Exactly right.
And even a ton of 12 might be 40% of the snaps. There's still going to be a lot of snaps that the Steelers have 3 receivers on the field and 1 tight end. I mean, this is the NFL. So it's not easy to get to. And this year, I mean, I was flat out critical of what they did last year. This year, I think it's a strength. Last year, I think it was a bit of a weakness. So, okay. And again, if you're going to play a ton of 12, you're going to play a ton of 13, Arthur, you're going to keep moving your tight ends in and out of the lineup.
Hopefully that becomes the Steelers' matchup calling card on offense.
That's what I'm going with is. So then the front office says, okay, I like your approach. I don't want you to change. I'll just get you better tight ends. And okay.
It's not the builder, it's the materials. It's not the chef, it's the ingredients.
Now there's a chance it's wrong. You know, maybe it's like we should have said, I don't like that approach, put Freiermuth out there every time. But we hired you for a reason. We had this conversation before we hired you. We know that you're, this isn't news to them.
Sure.
After
At least
Atlanta
it better not be, right?
You would think not. That, okay, we like your approach. It is a unique way to play an offense. I keep bringing it up like the Ravens have Ricard on the field all the time. No one else deals with a beast like that. No one deals with 13 as much as the Steelers are going to throw at them, or a beast like Darnell Washington. So we want to be unique. You don't have as much time to prepare during the week as people think for these games. So we'll just give you better tight ends.
I think it makes a ton of sense from that standpoint, and that's when you see the Ravens and everything that they do with Lamar and Henry and Ricard, that's their matchup nightmare.
It's awful.
When you see the Bengals and you got to have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins dropping bombs on you for 60 minutes, that's their matchup nightmare. I'm hoping that those tight ends and the way they can deploy them and make teams show their hand with base and nickel and how they're going to defend when the Steelers are in 12 with Pat and Jonnu or Jonnu and Darnell or whatever that combination might look like. I'm cautiously optimistic that that's going to be a real card up their sleeve on offense this year.
A huge thing that's going on in the league, and it always has, but it's more prevalent now, at least to my eyes, is do something that's the other 31 aren't doing on offense. Like, and I could go through them all, but you mentioned a few. The Bills led the league in 6 offensive linemen by a wide margin.
Okay.
I mean, a really wide margin. Like 2%'s a lot. They're at like 8. So these, and I bring that, and I'm not saying the Steelers are as good as the Bengals, the Lions, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills. They're the best offense in the league, the Eagles. But every one of them have distinct, unique ways of playing. Another example is, I haven't double-checked this, but I haven't fact-checked it, but I think there's more fullback. I know this, actually. There's more fullbacks on NFL rosters leading into week 1, and Seattle actually has 2 of them, than there were last year. And last year there was like 15. There were like 15 fullbacks employed by the league. This year I think it's like 25.
Okay.
And the reason is none of these linebackers ever played against a fullback in college. They don't know what shoulder to take on. If he's come flying through the B gap, all of a sudden there's two gaps. I mean, a new gap was created. Am I taking it on the strong side, the weak side, the left, the right? Like I've never done this before, let alone Dan Kreider running over my face. And I'm a 210-pound linebacker. I'm not Levon Kirkland anymore.
Right.
These guys are all undersized.
And you're not even asking those guys to be Mike Allstott out there. You're just asking them to create matchup nightmares. And that's the cyclical nature of football that I love. Like defenses get lighter, offenses get heavier.
Yeah.
Defenses get heavier, offenses get lighter. It's
I mean, a perfect example, we know all the success Shanahan's had with the Niners offense. Well, they've been two back forever with Juszczyk. They made Juszczyk the highest paid fullback ever, and he's not Dan Kreider or Tim Lester. He can catch the ball. He can do a lot of things. But with Kittle's ability to block and a second back and, McCaffrey's catching ability, it's like, man, what do I do against their base personnel? I just don't line up in my 3-4 or 4-3 because he's going to detach them and manipulate me. You know what I mean? That was their calling card. It was a fullback, but a different kind.
I'm hoping that's what we're going to see.
I think that's what they're going for.
I think that's what they're going for.
Not easy to pull off as no sitting
doubt.
In here,
No doubt. Matt, we got to get to our last break.
One stat did whole segment.
I was going to say I got a couple more of these hodgepodge of randomness from Matt Williamson. We'll close down with a couple more of these as we roll along. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Final segment of The Drive here on a Wednesday. Matt, I have good news for you.
All right.
The next time you and I do a show together, there will be an NFL football game shortly after.
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
Yep.
I am
24 hours from now, and then we'll be tailgating for opening day before that.
Exactly right.
No, I'm
exactly
psyched.
Right. Looking forward to it. As we just put a bow on things for today, kind of sticking with the hodgepodge of randomness, but this isn't random here, Matt. This kind of piggybacks a little bit off of what we just talked about, Arthur Smith offense, tight end usage. How about now wide receiver usage?
Okay.
With Arthur Smith as the head coach or an offensive coordinator, the most targets a wide receiver has ever gotten in a single season, Drake London in 2022 with 117.
It's a very low number, first off, folks.
That's a low number.
Right. I mean, there's guys that have 100 catches every year. You're getting way more than 117 targets. Like, could you search targets last year? Like, where was 117 of ranked amongst all targeted players last year? I bet it's like 30th. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of guys that get into the 150s. One CD Lamb's going to get
117 would have been 21st.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's his high water mark.
That's his high water mark.
For a wide receiver.
Yes.
That was a clear number one, Drake London. That was their last year in Atlanta. Now, I think there's a lot to unpack here. Metcalf easily could exceed that. I mean, he's going to demand targets way more than Austin, Wilson.
Basically, every year he's been healthy. So, besides last year, where he missed a couple games, he's been over that number.
I don't doubt it. If you break it down per game, I'm sure he's
like the 4 years before last year,
that.
129 targets, 141 targets, 119.
So, I'm guessing Metcalf exceeds that if he plays all 17. Or if you just break it down per game, I bet it's higher than London's per game target numbers were. Just based off of how much Rodgers has worked with him, how much better he is than the other guys. I don't think he's ever going to leave the field. But this also, I mean, I get asked 100 times a day, and you probably get asked 85 times a day, what are they doing for a number 2 receiver?
Oh, my gosh.
Like, this is going back to Ayuk.
Matt,
I know it's frustrating.
Matt,
folks. Don't get me wrong.
I see friends at, like, picnics and graduation parties and things like that, friends that I haven't seen in years.
Yeah.
That, like, we have kids now and stuff, and the first thing they ask me is not, like, how the kids doing? How's your parents doing?
Right.
It's, who's going to be the Steelers' number 2 wide receiver?
Are they really not going to get on
How's
receiver?
Roman Wilson look? How's Calvin Austin look?
Yeah. So I think that this stat I don't have, but I bet the second highest target, or what I mean is whoever the wide receiver is, it was probably A.J. Brown for a lot of the years. It definitely was A.J. Brown a lot of years. Whoever wide receiver 2 has been in an Arthur Smith offense, I bet their target numbers are even crazier low. You know what I mean? Like T. Higgins got a ton of targets as a second guy for, Godwin gets a ton next to Evans, Waddle, Hill, etc. But my point is the wide receiver 2 does not get used very much with Smith. Sure. And a lot of it's because it's tight end centric. They run the ball a lot. They play a little slower. They don't run a bazillion plays. Now that kind of takes away a little bit of the need for a wide receiver 2 here more than other cities, for sure. I mean, there's no question about it, by design. Still, and we saw this, and you mentioned it like an hour ago, what if Metcalf gets hurt?
I mean, that's
my sticking
You're
point.
in a very you would feel better about your weapons at tight end.
Yeah.
But you're in you would find yourself much in the same position that you were when George Pickens missed those couple of games down the stretch. You're too easy to play against.
Yeah.
And I will say, I think there's some more to work with Roman Wilson than the Mike Williams and Van Jeffersons of the world.
No doubt. You can't roll with those dudes.
But I don't think I'm not drastically more confident now all of a sudden if DK Metcalf were to miss a couple games.
Agreed. I think I'm much more confident that Austin's a legit NFL player now than I was 365 days ago.
Totally.
And I do have hope for Wilson, and I think Miller's okay. I mean, they're a lot better than the Allen Robinsons and Van Jeffersons and Mike Williams, who was shot and retired. They're a little better off, but it's not good enough.
They're also undersized compared to those guys, too.
Right. So back to the stat. I don't know exactly how to take it because I do think Metcalf will exceed that, but he won't be CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson numbers. Sure. That's for sure.
No doubt.
They just don't throw the football enough.
Those guys are, in the 140s,
right.
150s.
Like Pickens goes to the Cowboys from the Steelers. Well, the Cowboys will probably throw the ball 150 to 200 times more than the Steelers.
Yes.
And they did last year. Well, of course
especially
he's going to have way more targets.
They're going to need to score some points without Micah Parsons
now in particular, right. So a lot of it's based on how you play. I think some of it's Tomlin related too, where defense is still going to be our bread and butter. When in doubt, 3rd and 8, maybe we'll run a draw if we're winning 14-10 and trust the defense, punt, etc. But it definitely is a Smith trait. He's been a play caller long enough now that
again, there's a sample size there. It's
there's
not
a big
2
sample
years.
size. So his first-year coordinator with the Steelers, never heard of this guy before this.
Right.
He was a head coach that ran an offense and a really good offense coordinator with Titans.
Mm-hmm.
So it's noteworthy. There's no doubt about that.
I think it kind of comes full circle to that. Maybe that was part of the conversation was, hey, would you rather have a shiny new toy at tight end or is your wide receiver 2, and the way you want to play this thing, I'd rather have the investment in the tight ends. That's where our matchup calling card is going to be. That's where we're going to give teams nightmares. And I
totally get that.
We've got a true number 1 proven in DK, and we've got enough with everybody else with what we have with the tight ends and what we are obviously, too, we all know, wanting to establish in the run game.
100%.
Yeah.
And all that being said, I would be way more comfortable if they had another receiver.
Yes, I would.
Right. They have a lot of money.
If Jacoby Myers was a Steeler today, I would feel much more comfortable.
I would be a lot more comfortable, yes.
Yeah. Well, Matt, that will do it for us today.
Fun.
I think starting on Thursday, we turn the page big time to those Jets.
Yeah.
And obviously, we'll give some thoughts on that Thursday night football game that's going to get rolling tomorrow as well, too. A lot to get to in the next 2 days as we get you ready for week 1 of the NFL season. Can't wait. It's going to be exciting. For Matt Williamson and Mr. TV here producing, a reminder, we are back on YouTube, The Drive, once again. If you want to see Matt and I's beautiful faces and all of our cool Steeler gear that we're rocking here in the studio. Take care, everybody. For Matt Williamson, I am Wes Uhler. We'll talk to you tomorrow. As always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.